That's up. Make sure that's up. All right, we're going live in 5, 4, 3. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. This is our live weekly webcast on how we are connected and the way we get around. I'm Ryan Girardi. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is Wednesday, July the 15th, right smack in the middle of the month, 2020. Happy hump day to you. And today is Pet Fire Safety Day. So, what do we got? The combined efforts of the Kennel Club and ADT Security Services led to the first Pet Fire Safety Day being held in the late 2000s. And the ideas of the event is to make pet owners aware of the hazards of their beloved cat and dog or other animals and the risks they could be posed to them in regards to a fire. So Pet Fire Safety, there's always a day for something, folks, always a day for something. So today on the program, Kia launches a new live stream showroom to offer customers an innovative digital experience. A survey suggests that drivers could do without lane assist, an autonomous safety feature. Uber is to buy Postmates for $2.65 billion to expand delivery, and Amazon plans at least $100 million in stock awards to keep Zoox talent in-house. Plus, Kanye West for president. That's right. Kanye West has announced he's running for president. We're going to look into that. And WNBA, Women's National Basketball Association Players Union, wants Senator Kelly Loeffler removed. She is part owner of the Atlanta Dream. And we will look into that. But first, COVID case counting exposed. I have a video to play, which we'll do in a little bit as well. This is streamed live on our YouTube channel. We actually moved from our company YouTube channel to our podcast YouTube channel. So I still need to let our other YouTube subscribers know that we're now streaming live onto our podcast YouTube channel for AutoConverse. This is recorded, and then we feature the program on the podcast. Today, we have Steve Ressler joining us in a few minutes from Drive Centric CRM. So he's going to be our solo panelist for the debate series for the 2-minute drill down of our debate segment in the second half of the show. Let's go through some news items. And I also need to get Jay up here. Jay, why don't we get you rolling? There you go.
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome back to the program. How's it
Thanks
going
very
today?
much. Good. How you doing?
Well, I'm moving fast. Had a quick impromptu errand and fast food lunch with my teenage son. So
awesome.
So we did that and rushed in here, get the show started. And glad to see Steve's waiting in the wings for us. And then here
Sweet.
you and I are. So
yeah, man.
Hey, great show last night. Auto Transport
Thank
Intel,
you.
Tuesday
so
nights
much.
live. That was good.
Yep.
Rental car. You know, here's the things that stood out for me on that.
Yeah.
First off, Chris was extremely knowledgeable about rental cars from
Great
Bob
guest.
at Media.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable. And then was it Bob you had on from Rental?
Bob Barton, president at Rental Maddox. Wow. He's got like global rental car knowledge, historical hands-on experience. Yeah, that guy, that was awesome.
It was. He really knew the numbers and the markets and everything. And it sounded like he and Chris also knew each other too.
Well, and so the way this worked is that I had talked to Chris about a month ago about this show, maybe 2 months ago. And he brought in Bob. Bob was his recommendation. You know, how when we put a show together, we're relying on, hey, you know, bring somebody great in your panel. And so that was Bob. And then Dan Farragon from Raven. I met Dan when I put together the Raven show about a month ago. So yeah, that was a great show. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with Auto Transport Intel, and it's not for everybody. If you want to go backwards and just stick with what was working in the past, you're not going to like my show, because I'm talking about all the changes, the vast factors that affect the automotive industry, which affects auto transport, and what do we do about it.
I'm putting a
So
link to last night's show.
thanks. Yeah. In fact, I already finished the video description. I finished the blog post. So yeah, that show is ready to go. And I'm working on a video edit. If you saw, so I premiered a video last night, a 1-minute video edit from the monthly roundtable we just did. Was that Monday night? No, last week. So anyways, and then I gotta publish that video. But yeah, lots happening. There's so much information happening. And so yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was a great show.
What was here was my take on that supply, that demand right now is really high compared to supply.
Yeah.
But is that for new and used? Do you think?
Well, essentially, yes. New demand is up. Actually, I think it's higher than expected. Yeah, okay. I mean, which seems strange. That's where we talked about economic factors. I mean, there are so many people that are losing their jobs. How is there this much demand for new cars? I'd love to get into the minutia of, are these businesses trying to buy new cars? Is this really discretionary income from residential buyers? I don't know. I want to know. But anyways, yeah, so new car demand is up, and we know that OEMs having their shutdown and trying to restart and global supply chains disrupted cannot offer. And that's one of the other things too. I think what happens in the new car demand, people pick the color of their seats and the paint and all that. By the time you've picked everything, okay, and I want that now. Well, you can't have it. We don't have it. What do you mean we don't have it? This is America. Well, we don't have it right now. And so that's what's happening. Is so the demand for specific vehicles is causing a disruption because they're not available. And they
maybe it's because people have more time to get picky on what they want.
And that brings us to, there must be other factors at work here. So new car demand is running into a problem. MMR and SAR, which we talked about a little bit, the value of the vehicles has gone up. And so then lightly used new cars, right? So new cars that are lightly used, their value's gone up. So basically what's happened is dealer inventory, and this is where we talked about just-in-time inventory, many recent years, you don't want to have a bunch of inventory sitting around. So we do the just-in-time inventory, and that helps you save money. But when you have a major bottleneck like COVID presented, guess what? You sell that inventory, well, you can't replace it right away. And that is another problem. So the scramble to replace diminishing inventory causes the prices to go up. Then you add the other layer that transport prices are up. So dealers are having to pay more to replenish their inventory, more for the transport of the vehicles. And the margins were already thin, and everybody wants a deal, and it's just a crazy market right now.
And it's jacking prices up altogether. Well, I don't want to get too into the right. minutia of that, because we got a lot to cover. But It's fascinating subject matter. It was great. It was great to see, and it's something I know we'll both stay on the pulse about.
Yeah,
we have been, and that was just good intel.
Yeah.
So let's get into some news items here, and then we'll get Steve up here with us as well. So I'm going to read through a couple. Uber to buy Postmates for $2.65 billion to expand their food delivery after the coronavirus pandemic. Cratered demand for ride hailing, which is obviously Uber's main business, and their early attempt to acquire Grubhub foundered. The all-stock deal is modest outcome for Postmates, once a pioneer of the gig economy that was outmaneuvered by deep-pocketed competitors. It's been valued at $2.4 million in an investment last year. And Uber estimates it will issue about 84 million shares of common stock for 100% of the fully diluted equity in Postmates. And that came out on Monday. Now, we brought up Amazon and Zoox the Amazon Zoox deal a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now Amazon plans to create over $100 million in stock awards for the purpose of retaining the 900 plus employees of Zoox.
That I found that really interesting, because doesn't that suggest, and I'm speculating live, but doesn't that suggest that they have to create incentives to get those guys to stay? What's up with that?
Like, why do they not want to? Why would they not want to stay?
Why don't they just want to stay?
Yeah. Well, I think Zoox is leading the way, and so they probably have a lot of hot talent that's become desirable on the marketplace. That's what I would.
Well, I agree with you, but I really want to dive into this further, because psychology is always at work. Listen, you already worked there, right? And Amazon acquired it, right? So you're already working there. Why don't you just want to stay? My point is, and I know you got it, is that when you go look at when Facebook acquired, was it Instagram?
They've acquired Instagram. They've acquired others.
Well, the owners and founders, I think, left. Doesn't that tell you something?
Man, there's so many factors involved.
I'm speculating, but we know we're headed down because we have heard of many. The thing is, when we read news stories of disgruntled, when you see the breadcrumbs of disgruntled workers, you can't help but start to think, well, that's kind of a pattern here.
Sure.
You don't have to be a CSI detective to figure out that there might be a problem. And so when I read that, I thought, well, that's interesting. Why do you have to work so hard to keep the Zoox people that you already had?
And who knows how hard they're working? I mean, they're just putting together stock awards. They're incentivizing you to stay.
Fair enough.
And because that's more economical.
I'm sure everything is peachy. You know, I'm sure everything's peachy.
Well, anytime a company like Zoox comes up twice in memory, things are shaking and moving over there, either in a good way or a bad way. So let's do this. Steve, if you want to get ready to bring your camera on, because I know you have some insight to shed on this, but Kia Motors Corporation announced the launch of their live stream showroom. I brought this up yesterday on our Social Selling and Auto Retail webcast. But this is a new online platform that offers customers access to personalized virtual viewings in select Kia dealerships. Now, the platform was introduced initially overseas in countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, to name a few. But now it's being offered here in the United States. Customers will receive one-on-one consultation with live responses to questions and explore the design and feature of their chosen model, see demonstrations, all that good stuff. So actually, I got to bump Steve to panelist. Let's do that. Thought I had done that before.
Oh, gee whiz.
Now Steve Wrestler can turn his video on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't even do that, Ryan.
Like, Ryan, come on, get your act together.
I mean, National Pet Fire Day. I mean, holy cow. It's a fire on my end. I'm like, how do I join this thing?
It's not Set Your Pets on Fire Day.
And by the way, just because I love
for clarifying.
Celebrate the day, I want you to know one of the things that I do on every one of my Zoom meetings is I celebrate, and I always look up the day. Like, there's National Fruitcake Day. There's obviously May the 5th day with you. And so I always have my Zoom meeting set for that day to celebrate. And it's amazing how you got every single day. So I appreciate you doing that at the beginning of the show.
And I just want to say this. I'm one of those people that doesn't really pay any attention to that stuff. And that's why the world is full of different people.
So what do you mean you set your Zoom to do that? Like,
so what I do is if it's like National Pet Fire Day or whatever, I just go Google that holiday and I go to pics and I download that pic and I use that as my background.
Oh,
so, like 4th of July, you can imagine I've had, and so what you're doing is you're just educating in a fun way when you're doing all these Zoom virtual.
There you go.
And it's funny you said that, because I'm the guy that never clicks on the Google photo to find out anything more about it. I'm like, yep, waterfall, good to go.
Yeah, I mean, but I got it. But it's so funny.
I don't know why.
I got this huge library of pictures, and I mean, they're just so funny. All the different holidays. I mean, if you can celebrate Hot Dog Day and go look up pictures like that, I mean, holy cow, Ice Cream Day. I mean, it's just fun. So I just appreciate that part of the show at the beginning. Sorry, I had to throw that out.
That's awesome, man. That's good input. I'm glad you said that, because I listened to him read the days. I'm like, yep, it's another day.
Hey, it's gummy worm day too, you know. just so you know.
It's gummy worm day.
Here, wait. Let me just show you what I'm talking
gummy bear. Yeah, show us real quick.
Wait. Okay, so here, believe it or not, there is World Password Day. Believe it or
That's what
not,
I'm talking about. World Password Day.
And then you got. But I couldn't believe this one. National Best Friend Day.
Aw, that's sweet.
Here you go. Fruitcake Day.
So,
Day.
Yeah.
And then
you can keep your head in there.
I mean, Steve, there's a paper airplane day. I was so excited about that one.
I'm not surprised.
Do any kids even have paper to know what a paper airplane is?
Okay. Dude, do you know
when I could go get something to impress you?
Dried worm on the sidewalk day is next week.
Drive what on the sidewalk?
Dried worms on the sidewalk day is next week.
Gee. All right, we're getting off tangent. We got to get the show started. Steve, welcome back to the program. Steve was on here for our season 5 finale in I think November. It was the last time you were on. We had Amanda and Terry. I think Ian was on that day.
Yeah.
I feel like there's one other, and I'm blanking out. Mike Phillips was on that day too. So welcome back to the program. You get to meet Jay for the first time, so you guys can do a virtual handshake, which is politically correct.
There you
go. Politically correct virtual handshake. Steve, fill us in on what you know about Kia live stream, and obviously give us your opinion on that.
Yeah, it's so funny when you shared that with me. We just implemented Drive Centric. Just for everybody who doesn't know me, work for a CRM company, and we just implemented live rooms. And a lot of the chat providers for digital retailing, they're wanting a solution to communicate with the customer, which I get. But now you got Mercedes-Benz. If you've seen any of their commercials, they're showing like live streaming of selling the cars. Now Kia's doing it. And I thought it was kind of interesting that they tested it overseas. But at the end of the day, I think everything is getting more virtual. I literally was just on with the #1 Subaru store in the country. And I heard what you guys were saying about, obviously supply and demand. This is the #1 Subaru store in the country. It's Champ Subaru. And it was kind of interesting. They are inflating the costs of their cars, and again, just you can imagine every dealer, they're a one price store, but they were skeptical on it. But their profits are up. They're all doing good. And I think we're starting to see a lot more of that just because of supply and demand. I mean, it's hard to get a new car. I'd be taking orders. I'd be taking deposits. And, that's what I'd be doing.
So yesterday on, every Tuesday, I do an auto retail webcast. Yesterday, we were focused on social selling, but we actually went to Cadillac Live because they offer a live streaming service like that as well. And we did that live on the webcast, and a live agent was there. There was a virtual showroom, and we asked him to get in the car. He was cool about it. I told him like, hey, we're just kind of randomly here, but we weren't able to test the Kia one. But you think this is essential? You think this is novel to offer live video streaming to customers for a manufacturer?
Well, go ahead, Jay. If you want to jump in.
I want to say this. I can't help but think. So here's the thing. I can't help but think this is going to be an interesting evolution, because I thought when people went browsing and shopping, they didn't want to talk to anybody. Don't a lot of people do that? When the sales rep comes up and says, hey, can I help you? And they're like, nah, I'm good. I don't want, I really don't want to talk. So, but you have to in this situation. So it seems like there's going to be this interesting learning curve. Almost like there's going to be like actor workshop training seminars for car dealer sales folks of how to ride that fine line on camera where you're not like a cheese, but you're just providing and really in tune. Am I wrong?
I think it's more going to be, it's really all in the state of mind of the person. I mean, this is what I train. I mean, I do personalized video every single day. I mean, I love being on camera, and I'm just, some people got it, some people don't. But when you get and start doing video, the head starts messing with you. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
And that's what it is. That's the head trash. And I just don't have that head trash. I'm not saying
head trash. Nice.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I teach
that's good, man. That's good. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I got to give it to 25 years ago to one of my first managers gave me that. Don't have the head trash, like they don't want to talk to you.
That is
but,
awesome.
but when you go out there and you start thinking, well, I'm just not good on video, you know, what people want to see is the authenticity of you. You don't need to be somebody you're not. If you go watch, and you've probably seen this on YouTube, if you watch some of the YouTube or Google presentations that are out there, the videos that get the more clicks are the ones that are not staged. They're not professional. That's what people want today. That's why you go watch TV on the commercials. They're all done on their phones. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what it is. They're doing it from the iPhone. So that's what people got to start thinking about. Just because I'm on video doesn't mean I'm on, like, I got to be perfect. You know, that's what I think people are thinking. I got to be perfect.
So I'm glad you said that, because when you're watching automotive webinars, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are you seeing I'm seeing a lot of, okay, that was good, let's do it again. You know, like well, there was some information, but I didn't really get who you are.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, like, here's the thing, and I don't want to, I've you know, during this whole COVID,
we're not trying to create head trash. We're just talking.
No. Hey, well, here's the thing is what's going on is the social media got diluted, especially in automotive, with a lot of people, because you can't get in front of everybody. They use social media to be in front of consumers. So it's a matter of what was the content that they said. And that was one thing. I just felt like, you know, I was watching a lot of these webinars. I wanted to see what people were doing. And I don't know if I saw a lot of value. It was more like a talk show. You know what I mean? And I want, like, hey, man, help me out. What am I going to do differently? So, like, one of the things I did, and I'm proud to say, is I came from the medical industry before I got in the car industry. And I brought a pain chart from the medical industry to apply it to, like, the virus. I called it a virus assessment tool, because I feel like what the car people just don't do is bridge the gap. And I know, Ryan, I'm getting off topic here, but
Totally.
but it's a virus.
I think you're right on topic.
Yeah, well, I mean, the virus assessment tool, and, you know, by using, like, you know, we're going to talk about this Kia Live Stream thing, which is Live Room and all the other tools that are doing this, but you have to understand the customer and their concerns. If somebody, like, again, has susceptibility to Corona, I got to be respectful of that. And so how do I communicate that to the customer? Meaning, I'm a dealership and I'm trying to do business with you. I got to be concerned. And I think people are still, I mean, when I secret shop stores, well, what day can you come in? What day can you come? I can't even believe that that's happening. That's the mentality. When can you come into the digital showroom is what we're trying to educate people to do. And, you know, you could do a lot of this now through video. You just can't.
So I want to just clarify the whole idea of live stream for these manufacturers and the consumers isn't necessarily to put the customer on camera, and really the receiver, which would be not the dealer, but it'd be someone at the manufacturer. They're not even on camera either. You're basically facing the product, the car, and they're just talking, which is different, because you're saying, a lot of people don't want to get on camera, and that's not the purpose of this live stream. It's for the customer to
I didn't know that they were not doing it. I thought that was
no, I want to clear. I didn't think the customer's on camera. I know the customer's not on camera, because there's no point in that. But what I'm getting at is, and I like what you're talking about, because we're now getting into the mechanics of media, which is really what I like to talk about. So you could have two versions of this. You could have, okay, so I'm the dealer, I'm holding my camera phone, right? And I'm talking, hey, what's going on? I'm going to show you this great new car today. And the problem is, in this scenario, there we go, there's my phone. In this scenario, I'm the subject rather than the car. But I like what you're talking about. In scenario 2, hey, this is the vehicle, what can I show you today? And the sales guy's not on camera. It's all about the car.
And if you can't be good at that, then you're in the wrong business today.
But hey, okay, whoa, that's the thing. See?
Well, but hold on a second, Jay.
These are car salesmen. That this is another part where the industry has just changed.
Well, but let me jump in, Jay, because I'm going to create a little bit of controversy. Number one, I've got 2 dealerships, and one of the things while we're doing this live room, you said something again, and you got the head trash, buddy. I'm telling you, you got head trash.
No, so I'm talking about head trash.
Well, you said the customer won't show themselves.
Dude, the customer doesn't want to be on camera.
You don't know that. You're assuming that.
You're right. I'm assuming that.
Head trash. That's head trash, buddy. So I will tell you. So I've had 2 dealerships. 80% of customers showed their face at one dealership, 25% showed their face at the other. Now, this is manually tracked, but I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, you're right. I mean, the customer doesn't need to show themselves, but it's not.
And that might just be the technology. Since they're using a webcam.
Yeah.
You know, hey, oh, wow, I'm on webcam now, and the cat's running around and the scrambled eggs aren't done. You know, there's got to be a lot of customers. There was no desire to be on camera. It just is a function of, well, now that you're on camera, I'm on camera.
Did we go over there?
Yeah, we're so past.
I know we're way off.
I'm pushing us to the next topic.
I'm telling you, this is way more important than gummy worm day.
Well,
okay, I'll give you that. But here's the deal.
Okay.
Here's the deal.
Okay,
so everybody that's watching or listening to this, every Tuesday we do an automotive marketing panel discussion, and we cover topics like this. So for today, I'm putting a pin in this one because that was the first topic, and we're already to the bottom of the hour, and we got to move on because Steve's got to go, and then we got to go, and then we'll be here for 2 hours. It'll all happen.
Well,
we all got our 2 cents in.
We've just started a really good conversation that we should continue sometime.
Yeah.
And actually, I need more information before we do our next meeting on this topic.
And I will encourage, and we'll bring that topic again here on the show.
Have me on that one, man. I'm all about that one, man. I'm a video guy. I am.
Let's get into this.
I'm a drive guy.
Yeah. Let's get into this fun one. So Erie Insurance commissioned a national survey to find out which features drivers disable the most and why. And the survey, which was limited to drivers whose cars were model year 2016 or later, were asked if they had ever turned off or disabled any of 11 specific features commonly available in those vehicles. The second most disabled feature was lane keeping assist, which obviously helps prevent the car from straying across lane markings by automatically making a light, braking, or minor steering adjustment. And almost a quarter of drivers said they turned off lane keeping assist. And most cited the reason they found was because the feature was annoying. Steve, as our featured guest today, what's your thoughts? Do you like lane assist?
Well, you know what's so funny is we just got a car. It's our first lane assist car. But anyway, my daughter. So this is what's so funny. So I can only do a subject of one study. She loves it. My daughter loves it. She's a brand new driver, 15. We're going out there doing some driving, and she loves it. Now I've got a 2010 Maxima, and she doesn't like the fact it doesn't have that, which I think is interesting. So I think the older school folks probably see it's annoying because they're experienced drivers. But for me, like when I'm driving my wife's car, and I've driven it a long time, and every time I hear that, like the or whatever that, it's going to do, I mean, it does. It almost makes you psychologically feel like a bad driver. Not saying I think there's a good safety mechanism to it. Don't get me wrong. But it is, I would totally agree that it is annoying. But I don't turn it off.
Jay?
I like when those lights show up on the side mirrors.
Yes.
You've got a car in your blind spot.
I like
that. There's no noise and I can totally ignore it. If the lane assist was hugging one of the sides of the lanes, that would bug me.
When I first read that, I thought they were referring to that indicator in the mirror, which to me should be standard in all vehicles. But this was actually, steering you back in the lane or vibrating the seat, which, if it's happening enough to be annoying, then obviously you're not paying enough attention.
Well, and back in ye old days, like when I was using, what do you even call it? When you can set the thing to go a certain speed. Why can't I think of the terminology? You're driving cross country and you set cruise control. There it is. You set cruise control, but when you do come upon another car or it's really hilly area, it's a really annoying feature because you can feel your car is not being efficient on mileage and gas consumption. So as long as these automatic features are as smart as a human being, that's great. Or if you're a new driver. But I agree. If you're an experienced driver and you're feeling the car no, that's not going to be any good.
Yeah, I do like the blind spot though. I mean, that right there, that is a good thing. I do appreciate that because, even teaching my daughter, like when she was driving my car, we went on a test drive last night. I mean, for her to look in, back, it was awkward for her. I mean, but we all did this. And,
Dad, my head doesn't turn that much.
Yeah. I can't see my phone, Dad. But just for experienced drivers and going out there and I I don't know. Like my wife will tell me, man, you're a bad driver because that's probably the worst part about it. It's more annoying probably for a guy because if your wife's right next to you, you're a bad driver.
Nobody likes to have anybody watch them drive. That should be in the next version of vehicles is that when you're driving, nobody can see you drive. You disappear. You're invisible.
Well, and you know what? Here's the thing, though. Like, we're just in this big safety era, right? And I mean, I go back and I love still talking about, can we imagine even today? Like, and I know this was a big deal. Like
I remember
20 years ago, but could you imagine going to school, riding your bike with a helmet and knee pads and elbow pads?
Well, and I was gonna, right? I thought you were gonna say standing on the bump in the middle of the car with your arm around your dad while he's driving. I remember that.
If you got hurt,
amazing.
You learn not to do it again. You know what I mean? If you fall off your bike, don't do it the next time. You'll get it. But I mean, but look, and I get the whole safety thing. So I know that there's going to be a lot of moms out there. I'll get hate mail on this. But so I'm all about helmets and safety and stuff like that. But I'm just saying it's just amazing over the years how much safety. And I do like the car feature. So even though we're talking about it, but I think it's just, look, it's great that my daughter appreciates it. That's what we're experienced. We've been around the block and we're kind of accustomed. So anything new that could help us, I'm all for it. But
all right. Yeah. So it's cool to have the feature. It's good that you can turn it off. Cause one thing I find annoying is you can't turn off that ding dong alarm for not having a seatbelt on. And it's like, it's like, it keeps going. It's like, come on, I should be able to disable that.
Because
if I turn it off, I'll get this.
Whenever I ride in a car with somebody that doesn't put their seatbelt on and it keeps dinging, I'm like, do you not hear that?
Yeah. Like, yeah. But sometimes, like if I'm driving around my apartment, like if I go to the pool or something, I don't want to put my seatbelt on, but it'll keep binging. All right, Steve, in the essence, in respect for your time, because I know you got
Hey, I had fun, man. These are great. I mean, I could talk video. Anytime you want me on the show. I mean,
Well, we're gonna get into some more pointed topics here. Okay.
What's your other topic? Are you gonna talk about Kanye? Where are you gonna?
Yeah, rapper Kanye West said in an interview last week that he's gonna run for president. Asked President Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden to drop out. It created a stir on July 4th when he announced this. A lot of people didn't know if he was serious or not. He had previously said he was targeting for 2024. He's 43 years old, and he said he is looking to win. He's going to run under the banner, a new banner called the Birthday Party, and his running mate is Michelle Tidball, a preacher in Wyoming, where West has purchased a ranch. And he is being advised by Kim Kardashian and, of all people,
that explains
Elon Musk. Elon
Come
Musk.
on.
Who offered him the position of heading NASA. Who wants to respond to this one first?
I'll take a quick stab because I have not followed a lot of politics. I mean, I have a hard enough time keeping work up straight. But when my wife told me about this, and I was kind of shocked because if I remember, he's buddies with Donald Trump. There was, yeah. That's what I mean. And all of a sudden now he's going up again. It just, I would love to hear has Donald replied to all this? What has he said about it?
I'm sure he hasn't said anything. I haven't heard him say anything.
I would hope somebody said just stay out of it.
But you know what though? Look, there's always a plot behind something like this. There's a plot.
It's funny you say that. Okay. This is why, in my mind, conservative talk radio makes fun of Hollywood. Just because you're in Hollywood and you got some celebrity and music and movies and money doesn't mean you should run for president. That's so silly. Do you not have enough to do? By the way, did you know that being president kind of sucks? It's just dumb. When the first time I knew, remember, Ryan, I said I already knew that. The moment I heard that he's running for president, I already knew he was dropping out. That's just dumb.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. I just think that position, I give anybody that's in that position, you got to tip their hat off because I mean you're in a no-win situation. I mean it's.
And if you have no political background, that's not going to happen.
But I just
that's what people hate about Trump. He wasn't a politician.
Yes, he is. He just was he was a real estate guy.
Well,
the same thing.
Technically, by profession, he's never been a politician.
Fine, but what is politics?
Yeah.
It's negotiation and getting away with what you can. I mean, that's what. Am I wrong?
Well, look, I'm not in politics, but to say it's equivalent to business, I mean, that's the big argument for a lot of liberals and even conservatives he's a businessman. Yes, it doesn't mean he'll be a good politician.
I love how this would be a great segue into your, what's her name? Kelly Loeffler, because what is she? She's a senator and a businesswoman. What's the difference?
Let's talk about that. So, I'm going to put my 2 cents in on the Kanye thing. Jay, you heard that he's already dropped out. I don't know if it's because if it was like you said, Steve, maybe it was just a publicity stunt. Obviously,
I blogged it, therefore it's true.
Oh,
you know what? Here's what it signifies to me is that the office of presidency is completely misunderstood. It is completely misunderstood. People have this theory that, or this idea that our president should and can do everything that we want them to do, as if they're as if they're a hero. That's how the presidency is looked at. One of the arguments that a lot of people have about Trump is that he's like the most narcissistic person you'll ever meet. So the idea of someone like Kanye coming out and saying, I don't like the way he's been doing, even though I endorse him, I'm going to run for president. I mean, that's just that. If that's not narcissism, I don't know what is from Kanye's standpoint.
Yeah.
You know,
his heart, I'm going to say something really crazy. I think his heart was in the right place. I'm not saying Kanye's stupid. I'm saying that I think his heart was in the right place. He wanted to do something on behalf of what he sees as a good cause. But running for president is not the solution to the idea of wanting to do something good. That is a problem. The president is a figurehead and other things. I mean, and it's a thankless job.
That is, yeah. I mean,
and in order to be effective,
he would hate it
at change. Like, look at COVID.
And he would be completely ineffective. What would he do? Holy!
He's gonna rap at the State of the Union address. His whole speech.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
I'm not saying Kanye doesn't have skills.
That would be kind of
cool. He has
cool.
some skills, but what would he do as president? I mean, come on. What if somebody handed you NASA launch codes right now?
Oh.
What would you do?
Yeah, I
freak out.
All right, let's get into what really the really important topic of the day. I'll stage it up. This is the segue into it.
I may have to go, Ryan, just so you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I probably do have to go. But anyway, hey, I'll go. What are you guys talk about? I'll give 2 cents if I got any.
Okay, well, let me read it off, and then because you got 5 minutes here. So on Tuesday, this is last week, the WNBA Players Union called on Commissioner Kathy Engelbert to remove Kelly Loeffler as co-owner of the Atlanta Dream after the junior senator wrote a letter to Engelbert regarding the league's plan to have Black Lives Matter and say her name on jerseys when the league starts. And where does it go? Engelbert said Loeffler's not been removed, but is no longer involved with day-to-day business of the team. The NBA, here we go, is based on the principle of equal and fair treatment of all people, and we, along with the teams and players, will continue to use our platforms to vigorously advocate for social justice. That was Engelbert's response to Loeffler. I don't have what Loeffler wrote, but she basically said she was disappointed that the league is going to endorse Black Lives Matters, which, and I'm not going to quote what she said, basically says, encourages mob rule mentality and does not represent tolerance.
I probably got to investigate that one more before I have an opinion on it. But I mean, there's a lot behind that one probably. But yeah, I better let you go on that one. Let's put it that way. So
I'm going to give you something to chew on. Okay.
That is something to chew on. I will look at that though. And I'm kind of intrigued by it. So
you have capitalism and you have idealism, and we confuse the two sometimes. That's what's happened here. She's an owner. She's not a hero. She may not play any ball. She may not know anything about it. She's a capitalist. But
Oh,
idealists have mixed up capitalism, and now there's confusion.
Well, hey, I'm going to get going because I know I'm running late. But hey, Jay, it was great to meet you, man. And I'd love to talk more on the whole video thing because I do like that topic too, man.
Right on. Let's do it.
Ryan, thanks again for having me, man.
Thanks
enjoy
for
your
stopping
day,
in, Steve. You too, bud. Appreciate you. We didn't get a chance to talk about Drive Centric at all. Drive Centric is where Steve is. I think he's national or VP of sales for Drive Centric, which is a dealership CRM. Jay, I want to continue down the rabbit hole because now you're saying who's confusing what? You're saying Loeffler, the owner's confusing capitalism and idealism?
Kelly Loeffler isn't confused at all.
Okay.
She's a capitalist. She's a senator. She's a businesswoman. She owns things. She buys things. She sells things. And then she owns and buys more things. And teams are companies, just like products and whatever. So she's a capitalist. The folks on who's calling for her to leave?
The players union.
Okay. The players union are thinking about how much they love the sport. That has nothing to do with capitalism and ownership. And I think we keep running into that. I mean, I turned on the TV yesterday and I saw somebody, they were talking about capitalism and society. And I love to talk about this, that just because we're a our economic system is capitalism, we treat it like a religion. And so then when the players are upset that the woman that owns the team is just out for money, well, it should be no shock. We treat capitalism like it's a religion. But I agree with the players. What is Kelly Loeffler even doing as the owner? Go make money somewhere else. Shouldn't a team owner, in an idealistic
Hold on,
manner,
I got to retort to what you just said. Shouldn't a team owner what?
Here's what we hope. We hope that a team owner actually knows and loves the sport that they own. But they're not required to. This is America. Free enterprise, capitalism, you can do whatever you want. That's what she's doing. She's a capitalist. She's exercising her American freedom of money.
So let's break this down.
Freedom for money.
Let's break this down and tie it into all these conversations we've had. So, okay.
I'm bringing up the question of how capitalism sometimes doesn't represent other American ideals.
Yeah. So, as an organization, the WNBA, the organization has a right to stand behind other causes and organizations. It has the right. That's the beauty of capitalism.
That's right.
It has the right. As the owner, as a part owner of a team within that association, you have a right to say you have a right to speak, to have a voice. All she said was she's disappointed in the league. That's all she said. She wrote a letter that says,
smart.
I'm disappointed in the league.
That may or may not be how she really feels, but those are the words she used.
Right. And she explained why she's disappointed. And her explanation, if I were to paraphrase it, was that Black Lives Matters is not an organization that represents the ideals that she stands for. Okay. And hers is probably coming from
a reasonable argument too.
It is. It's a knowledgeable, educated, saying what she understands that Black Lives Matters, for the record, not the slogan, not the idea, but the global foundation called Black Lives Matters is run by 3 self-proclaimed trained Marxists. And their goal is communism. That is their goal, is to bring Marxism into the U.S. As a ruling power. That's their goal. And that's publicly proclaimed by the organization. Now, the players in the union probably don't understand that.
I was just going to say they don't know that. They're just thinking
Black Lives Matters. That's what
I want to mention Mark Cuban, right? Mark Cuban as a team owner is the kind of team owner that you would want to be a team owner. He loves the sport. He knows about it. He is a mascot for his ownership. I'm assuming here's a question. Does Kelly even go to any games?
Are you saying that if she's not at the level of Mark Cuban, why bother being an owner?
That is part of my question. It is.
But that's like saying you can't be a part owner in a coffee company
I
unless
didn't
you
say you
love
can't
coffee.
be. I'm just bringing it up since we're talking about the story. What I'm bringing up is ownership doesn't always. We assume that our owner, that a boss, that the CEO of the company actually shows up at the building sometimes and
She
says
does.
rah rah.
She does. They have photos of her at the games.
Oh, I'm sure they have photos. Yeah, because you can't. Come on,
But look,
that's awesome.
Jay, here's what
There's
stands
photos
out.
of her.
Here's what stands out in the story is
Great.
here's a woman, an owner, who I would probably say is a reputable owner, expresses her opinion of disappointment, and the player's response is she needs to go. She disagrees with us.
Yeah.
They proved her point that they are an intolerant, coming from an intolerant idea.
Listen, and I'll agree with you there. That's why, man, I'll look at this thing from many angles. But this goes back to, because I said, you pulled up the Kelly Loeffler story, and I said, isn't she the senator that sold all that stock after she said she didn't know anything about what was going on? And that is correct. So again, I mean, she's not showing up in this story as just like Mrs. Sunshine. She's clearly got an issue with, just saying whatever she wants to say to prop up her capitalistic religion.
So I guess
theology.
You're coming from the viewpoint that her statement of disappointment was
true.
More motivated.
Allegedly, speculation. I don't believe her statement about her stock at all. But in America, you can lie right into the camera, especially if you're a senator. You're good.
But do you think that her motivation for expressing her disappointment publicly is, what do you mean allegedly?
I'm throwing in allegedly because anytime you say anything that could be, hey, if you're dealing with a heavily funded capitalist and they don't like something you said and they want to start using words like libel, then just throw in the word allegedly,
but
and
you're
the
not
lawyers
saying
go, oh, well, he said allegedly.
You're not saying she allegedly voiced
Sure.
her
I'm just using the word allegedly because it works in capitalism.
I think capitalism's your word of the day today.
Well, I like to talk about it because people use it as a shield to defend the crummy things they do while they're not at the forefront of the next big cause.
People use capitalism as a shield?
Oh, absolutely. Well, this is America and capitalism. Yeah, it's great and all until you jump on the net. You know what's funny? I can't wait till we look at what's going on right now in the rearview mirror. We're gonna be like, whoa, that was nuts.
I'm gonna play something a little nuts.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna play this. I think I've brought up Anomaly to you before, haven't I?
And by the way, I'm just going to say this too. Here's my disclaimer. I agree that a lot of things need to change. Absolutely. But I don't think it involves destroying all the statues and upending all of the money tables.
And we're not going to get too deep into, we've promised we're not going to get too deep into, I guess you could say, the political angle of what's going on.
I just don't want anybody thinking they can accuse me of one of those terrible phrases that get stuck on people all the time. It's not cool. Things do need to change, but these stories get weirder. Right?
They do, and I unfortunately am concerned that
like
we are
what
headed.
You just talked about the Marxist. That page gets skipped. Oh, there's Marxist. Oh yeah, no. Anyways, moving on.
All right, hold on. I made this full screen and it screwed everything up. Give me a second here. How do I get back to there? There it is, right there. Okay, take out full screen. I'm only going to play about 2 minutes of this, and we'll use it as something to possibly bring up next week because we're going to wrap up the show today here. Okay. But this is Anomaly. He does a lot of research. He's way ahead of the narrative. Okay, he's way ahead of the progressive left narrative as far as what's going on behind the scenes. He's got a lot of opinion, but he does good research. Let me play this.
This might be one of the most important videos I've ever done. The worst I've ever felt. Dr. Fair describes what it felt like to contract COVID-19. This is one of NBC News' science contributor. After telling their audience how horrible COVID-19 was, a few weeks later found out he actually didn't test positive for COVID-19 and never tested positive for COVID-19. Seems bizarre, right? But we're going to get into why later. New York Post, man who tried suicide by cop to avoid COVID-19 death succumbs to virus. Wait, what? A man who tested positive for the pandemic coronavirus and was fearful due to his underlying disease of diabetes and his weight of the virus decided to try to get killed by the police, ended up getting shot at 11 times, getting hit 7 times, dying 5 days later, and they said he died from coronavirus. How could these be? We're gonna get into it. This is straight off the CDC government website for antibody tests. Antibody tests are the ones that will test if you ever had COVID-19, not just currently, but previously. Right on their website, if you test positive, a positive test result shows you might have antibodies from an infection with the virus that causes COVID-19. However, there is a chance a positive result means that you have antibodies from an infection with a virus from the same family of viruses called coronaviruses, such as the one that causes the common cold. So right on the CDC website, they're admitting that a positive antibody test does not necessarily mean that you really have it from COVID-19. It could be another coronavirus or a false positive, as they call it. So this is really important. Are they counting those antibody tests towards confirmed or probable cases? Well, this was in the Los Angeles Times. Orange County inflated its coronavirus test numbers by mistakenly including antibody tests, officials say. But this is the thing, Orange County is not the only one, and they're not the only ones making that mistake. This was in Live Science. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, is lumping positive COVID-19 viral and antibody tests together. Here's why that's bad. It was also in The Atlantic. How could the CDC make that mistake? The government's disease-fighting agency is conflating viral and antibody tests, compromising a few crucial metrics that governors depend on to open their economies. Pennsylvania, Georgia, Texas, and other states are doing the same. Let's read that article. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is conflating the results of 2 different types of coronavirus tests, distorting several important metrics, and providing the country a picture of the state of the...
Is all of that news to you?
So, I'm really glad you asked me that. When I watch that, I think of kind of like a campaign rally, or not a rally because you already know which side you're on, or a debate, like a presidential debate. Does anybody actually switch candidates during a presidential debate? No. You see your candidate and you go, yeah, that's great. Nah, that's not true. Nah, they're killing you. They're lying. You already know what you believe. So when I watch that, see, I already knew. Man, I love that. I need that bumper sticker. I already knew that it's very possible there is an agenda that can't even possibly make sense in just a few sentences. So none of that surprises me. And I also agree when I've seen videos and articles talking about the use of ICU hospital beds and how those numbers get kind of mixed up so that we're all thinking that the hospitals are freaking out and people are jumping out of windows. And then the information comes out, no, we're only at 50% utilization. I'm not surprised. But anybody that doesn't believe any of that stuff and then watches that video is just going to think he's a crackpot. They're not going to believe it. He's not going to change anybody's mind, which I hate for him because he's doing great work. That's what I think.
It's hard to say if he's not going to change your mind.
Maybe
I've been fighting the whole conspiracy, like there's some, asserted force behind that.
It's too depressing,
but
it's true.
The more things build, the more I just find there's just a lot. It's a war. It's just a war.
Well,
it's a war of information and rhetoric and opinion. It's insane.
And it's interesting on that information war. I'm just going to throw out Alex Jones InfoWars.
Mm-hmm.
That is an amazing channel, but even Alex Jones gets in his own way. So sometimes, that's where that video is really good because his delivery, he's doing a great job of not freaking out. He's delivering.
Right. He's not emotional about it.
He's doing a great job. And we know there's something weird going on. I'll tell you what, this came up on my show last night. China is kicking butt. Isn't that interesting?
Kicking butt in what regard?
Well, in getting back to normal. It sure does seem like some weird like secret war movie plot where you purposefully stink bomb your entire camp so that a couple people can rise in the ranks and take over. It feels like that.
So here's something that's been bugging me. We've been on lockdown since late March and easing our way back into, I mean, you still can't go into any restaurant and eat. You still have to wear a face mask. It was just announced today that Walmart across the U.S. is going to require face masks in every store, which to me I thought was not news because they've been requiring it in Illinois since forever. But
that's what I thought. I'm like, really? Just now?
Seriously, every news source that my phone is accessible to just like went off over a 15-minute period, like ding, ding. I'm like, okay. But here's what doesn't make sense. If we've been on lockdown, we've been wearing face masks, we've been practicing social distancing. Oh, and COVID's still spreading. We're in our second wave. Well, then none of this is working. It can't be both ways. This tells me that nothing is working, or it's just not what it's said to be.
Here's the thing is, we have a significant portion of the population that believes in ideology more than capitalism, and they're having COVID parties and drinking at the beach. And okay, obviously I'm having fun with the topic, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say we're going to fix America and then I'll see you at the COVID party. Like, come on, man.
I think what's happening is you have things like that video brought out that the CDC, for whatever reason, is mistakenly counting in antibodies, which this didn't come up when you had the antibodies segment on your show.
Well, those are
what I was curious was, I assume
those are not mistakes.
I assume that the antibodies were for COVID specifically, but what he's suggesting is the testing for antibodies was just for the coronavirus in general.
Dang it, right? Because I don't know who they are, but
let's start with the CDC.
The COVID probably is the CDC and the.
Well, I'm saying but what is CDC's motive for including coronavirus antibodies in positive test results?
Yeah. Well, what's the list of motives, right? I mean, there could be, and then who's on board with those motives? I mean, this is the problem. Golly, there's no way we can ever know. Because how about this? Talk about saying something crazy. I'm going to hit the allegedly button. I mean, talking about.
There he goes. I like the break.
Talking about, I dropped an earphone and everything. You know, we like to say who's follow the money, who's to benefit. And if you look at like Jeff Bezos and the benefit that Amazon's having right now, that having everything delivered, would it seem so insane to think that Jeff Bezos would be in favor of skewed numbers of coronavirus testing? Is that a crazy thought?
No.
Now, I'm not going to say it allegedly because, man, the last thing I want is to face billion-dollar lawyers every week. But I mean, it seems so weird to me that we feel we're still so afraid to talk about these possible truths. That's why when I read stupid court cases in the news and everyone's like, gosh, what could possibly be? It's clearly obvious. OJ did it. Okay. He did it. Golly. How many ways do you have to look at this thing? See, I can say that about OJ because that was so long ago. It's almost a joke.
It is almost a joke.
Almost. But we just, golly, we don't want to acknowledge the truth. And I'll tell you what, another one, here's my favorite one that's being shoveled around. Joe Biden is double digits ahead of Trump. You reading this? That is so silly.
I can't believe that anybody, including the media, wants to pretend that polls matter. Like,
exactly.
Didn't we all learn that the polls don't represent anything accurate? Didn't we learn that?
To wheel that out, really? So think about that. Really, Joe Biden really double digits ahead? Really? That's our next president? Are you excited about that? Is anybody really excited about that? By
I'll
the
tell
way,
you what.
when we're talking, and I'm going to get off that, but we were talking about presidents earlier. Talk about somebody who in the rearview mirror might have thought twice. George W. Bush.
Might have thought twice about
If he knew now what he knew then about running for president,
what he was getting into.
do you think he would have done it? Heck no.
I felt like
No
George.
way.
I felt like he left office with his tail between his legs, couldn't wait to get out of there.
He has been invisible ever since. Probably the best years of his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Staying invisible, clearing brush and painting. And by the way, I think it's great that he's painting because he's getting things out finally in an artistic way. Which, that's a whole nother topic. But
speaking of painting, I went to GameStop just before the show with my son.
How did it go? Yeah.
And they had a Bob Ross collector's kit. It was Bob Ross, the painter with a ladder and all
That's
this
awesome.
stuff. And
that guy's an icon.
Do you go to GameStop?
I've been.
They've got lots of collectibles.
Huh.
And I didn't know this, but I asked the guy, I said, why is Bob Ross like here? He's like, well, we're part collector store too. Apparently GameStop
They got to do something.
Purchased Think Geek, which is collectibles.
I wouldn't want to be in any physical retail location trade in that. Man, that's all going online.
Because of COVID?
Because COVID's
as a
speeding
business.
it up.
You're saying
yeah,
as a business.
Think about it, right? How do you actually make the rent, keep the lights on, pay employees, and make a profit by reselling used items? I mean, cars is one thing, but like a game, my favorites, I love used CDs, but I have no idea how they make any money. Because you go to a CD store, you sell a CD for $1, and then you buy a used CD for like $7.
Yeah, you got to have something else to sell. Well, anyway, I thought of Bob Ross because you thought about
that's cool.
George
man.
Bush
cool.
paintings. I had to bring that up.
George Bush paintings.
All right, hang tight, folks. We're gonna wind the show down. Jay and I are trying to keep this show to a 45 minutes. We keep
really
going
hard.
to an hour.
It's hard.
But,
and here's the thing is too, I know that, the viewers have dropped off. I get that. This is some crazy stuff, but I think that, I don't know. Hopefully this goes somewhere. And I'll tell you what, Ryan, here's my takeaway. That segment with Steve, where we were doing our controversial conversation with business enterprise for the Kia streaming, there's a format in there.
Yeah, that's a good. We want to expand on that. That's the second day in a row that
because you're not going to see that on a lot of traditional or even non-traditional live webinar, automotive. No way. You're never going to see that conversation.
Well, if you are a car dealer, if you are in the mobility space as in general, in the transportation business, you are in the right place. This is the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. I'm Ryan. This is Jay. We're here every Wednesday on the AutoConverse YouTube channel. We used to stream it on our company channel for auto conversion, but we've moved it here to AutoConverse. I still need to let our subscribers know that. But every Wednesday, 2:00 Central. Next week, I have Stephanie Robbins from Call Source coming on and Terry Lancaster from the Get You Some Radio Show. We're going to have another 2-minute drill down like you saw today, similar topics. You're welcome to be here on Zoom with me and Jay before the show, during the show, even after the show. It's a great way to network and meet people. Just get subscribed to autoconverse.com. When you see the post come out about an upcoming event, there's always a link in there to register for the show. Or go to our website, hit me up on live chat, and I can give you the link as well. But get to be an insider, and you can join us here on Zoom. Shouts out to those on the podcast. I know I've been slow on the podcast, but we're getting caught up again finally, so that's great. And thanks again to Steve Ressler for joining us today. And everybody have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we'll see you back here same time, same place next week. Take care, everybody. Okay.